Anantakuti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srivatmanacharya Vrinda ki jai, Ramacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Iskauti Founderacharya ki jai, Grace Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Prem Sukho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shri Amakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai, Mathura Dhama ki jai, Navadvip Dhama ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dhama ki jai, Jagannath Swami ki jai, Vrindavan Dhama ki jai, Rangamai ki jai, Vinamai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Gaur Samaveta Bhakti ki jai. Oh, glories to the Salvador, so glories to the Salvador, so glories to the Salvador. Oh, glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, oh, glories to the Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Vishnupadaya, Tulashimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya. reading from Transcendental Diary. New Delhi is the chapter title. New Delhi. Prabhupada told him that the material body is meant for suffering, but people are so ignorant, they think that the miseries of life are natural or even enjoyable. By immeasurable good fortune, we now have this rare human form, which is the only one through which we can re-establish our eternal relationship with God, Krishna. Prabhupada said that life in the cities is hellish, but by leading a life of simple living and high thinking, based on the land and cows in harmony with nature, we can realize Krishna consciousness. But because people think themselves to be independent, they want to try to exploit nature. Instead, they are simply defeated by its laws. Therefore, he concluded, it is a society of cats and dogs. What do you think? Prabhupada asked. Marco felt that he had found the right person in which to place his trust. I completely agree, he answered. So what is the problem? Prabhupada asked him. Here with you, with the devotees, there is no problem. Marco said. But he explained that he had to return to Italy to be married, as well as to manage 6 companies with his business partners. These may be big problems. Prabhupada reassured him, do not fear, just become a devotee, chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita as it is, and Krishna will reveal himself. In the Gita you can find the solution to any material problem. To put an end to the cycle of birth and death and the transmigration of the soul, we just have to know Krishna. There is no time to waste. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 19. Maitreya Uvacha. Rachitasaha. Pituhu. Vakyam. Shirasa. Adaya. Sa adavaha. Disham. Pratichim. Prayayuhu. Tapasi. Adrita. Chetasaha. Maitreya Uvacha. Prachetasa piturvakyam. Shirasadaya sadavaha. Disham pratichim prayayus. Tapasyadrita chetasaha. Maitreya Uvacha. Prachetasa piturvakyam. Shirasadaya sadavaha. Disham pratichim prayayus. Tapasyadrita chetasaha. Maitreya Uvacha. Prachetasa piturvakyam. Shirasadaya sadavaha. Disham pratichim prayayus
Disham pratichim prayayus
tapasya adrita chetasaha
Maitreya vacha Chetasa piturvakyam Shirasadaya sadavaha Disham pratichim prayayus Tapasya drita chetasaha
Maitreya uvacha Prachetasa piturvakyam Shirasadaya sadavaha Disham pratichim prayayus Tapasi adrita chetasaha
Maitreya uvacha Prachetasa piturvakyam Shirasadaya sadavaha Disham pratichim prayayus Tapasi adrita chetasaha
Maitreya uvacha Prachetasa piturvakyam Shirasadaya sadavaha Disham pratichim prayayus
Tapasya drita chetasaha
Maitreya uvacha Prachetasa piturvakyam Shirasadaya sadavaha Disham pratichim prayayus Tapasya drita chetasaha
Maitreya uvacha. The great sage Maitreya continued to speak. Prachetasaha. All the sons of King Prachinabarhi. Pituhu. Of the father. Vakyam. Words. Shirasa. On the head. Adaya. Accepting. Sadavaha. All pious. Disham. Direction. Pratichim. Western. Prayayuhu. Went away. Tapasi. In austerities. Adrita. Accepting seriously. Chetasaha. In the heart. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, because of their pious nature, all the sons of Prachinabarhi very seriously accepted the words of their father with heart and soul, and with these words on their heads, they went toward the west to execute their father's order. Purport. In this verse, sadhavaha, meaning pious or well-behaved, is very important, especially at the present moment. It is derived from the word sadhu. A perfect sadhu is one who is always engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prachinabarhi's sons are described as sadhavaha because of their complete obedience to their father. The father, king, and spiritual master are supposed to be representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, they have to be respected as the Supreme Lord. It is the duty of the father, the spiritual master, and the king to regulate their subordinates in such a way that they ultimately become fully unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord. That is the duty of the superiors, and it is the duty of the subordinates to obey their orders perfectly and in a disciplined way. The word Shirasa on their heads is also significant, for the Prachetas accepted the orders of their father and carried them on their heads, which means they accepted them in complete surrender. Maitreya Vacha Prachetasa Piturvakyam Shira Sadaya Sadavaha Disham Pratichim Prayayus Tapasyadrita Chetasaha. The great sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidura, because of their pious nature, all the sons of Prachinabharahi very seriously accepted the words of their father with heart and soul, and with these words on their heads, they went toward the west to execute their father's order." Little louder. Hare Krishna. But I now have to repeat it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Okay, I just have to not touch it. Otherwise it will. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is a long chapter, and Prachetas are just about to enter the water and start to chant. So I have no idea how they chanted under the water, because you try to speak under the water and see what happens. But they had this ability to chant under the water. So in this verse there are many lessons to be learned. The first one is well-behaved. Pious or well-behaved. Pious person, one who believes in God, who is faithful, who is inclined to do pious activities, is a well-behaved person. But well-behaved, Srila Prabhupada explains, a perfect sadhu is one who is always engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many people who are well behaved, but they are not devotees. Even demons sometimes are well behaved. They are very sophisticated. They look very sophisticated, but they are engaged in horrible activities, either publicly or secretly. So just to be well-behaved or polite doesn't mean one is perfect or one is a devotee of the Lord. But one has to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord also. Sometimes from the outside, when you see someone engaged in devotional service, he may be looking as a violent person or something. Like Arjuna was asked to fight. So from the outside you may say, oh, he is not well behaved. But actually he was well behaved because he was doing his duty. He was doing his duty. He was doing his Krishna conscious duty. So therefore he was well behaved. And then Srila Prabhupada said that the devotee is a perfect gentleman. So devotee is kind, generally very kind. But also it is said that Vaishnava is sometimes softer than a rose and harder than the thunderbolt. So sometimes there is a need, especially for the spiritual master, to chastise his disciple. But very few people can accept this chastisement positively. Usually people get disturbed very much if the spiritual master chastises them. If he tells them you have to correct this is wrong with you, they sometimes just go away. So we spoke before about the sharp words of a sadhu, which are meant to cut the attachment to the material energy, to the material life, and in material relationships. So this is scary for people, cutting the attachment. This is scary. So they would rather hear the unkind or insulting words of their family members, and they don't mind this. But when they hear the sharp words of a sadhu, they run away. And in Srila Prabhupada's teachings, we can hear sharp words also many times. We can hear sharp words, and sometimes devotees think that this is too much. Or if you say this to people, then they will just run away. And here Srila Prabhupada is saying such, we just read here an example from the Transcendental Diary. He's making a conclusion that people are like cats and dogs. And this boy, Marco, he agreed. He didn't run away. And then he said, well, but I have duties in Italy. So sometimes when people have to surrender, so before coming in touch with Krishna consciousness, you look for something else, we are not happy with our life. But when we come to Krishna consciousness and devotees ask us to join the temple or to surrender, all of a sudden we become very dutiful. We have so many duties, so many things to do. I have to go to the army, I have to get married, I have to get a job. Because there is a natural tendency in the conditioned soul to avoid surrendering to the Lord and to find excuses. So I think Marco is doing something like that. But Srila Prabhupada just relentlessly, he continues. He said, don't worry, just be Krishna conscious in any situation, job, no job, wife, no wife, just be Krishna conscious. So sadhava sadhu bhushanaha titikshava karunika sukhrida sarva dehina ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushanaha. Sadhu, or a saintly personality devotee, is ornamented. He is ornamented with saintly qualities, with good qualities. He is tolerant, he is merciful, he is friend of everyone, of all living entities, not only human beings. He has no enemy. He's peaceful. So now this thing about having no enemy, it means that he doesn't consider anyone to be his enemy. Some people may consider him to be their enemy, but he doesn't think they are his enemies. Ajata Shatru. And he's peaceful because he's fixed on serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's peaceful because he feels protected. And what is the one important quality of a sadhu? This is demonstrated here in the behavior of Prachetas. He follows strictly the instructions of his spiritual master, and this protects him. So here they have accepted their father as a spiritual master, and they obediently follow his instructions. And the instruction of the spiritual master is similar to what Krishna told Brahma, Lord Brahma, at the beginning of creation. So do you know which word he told? Krishna told Brahma at the beginning of creation? Tapa. So Prachetas went away to perform austerities. And one tapasya is chanting. Now, as you chant and develop a taste, it's not tapasya anymore. It becomes pleasure. But in the beginning, it may be tapasya, and the mind doesn't want to listen. So they were chanting the song of Lord Shiva. And in the previous, I just took a quick look at the previous verse. And it says that Lord Shiva is always accompanied with his dangerous energies. So this is one very important point. It says like Goddess Kali and Goddess Durga. So Srila Prabhupada said one thing that his Western disciples, one disqualification or I don't know how to say, fault that his Western disciples have, that they are not afraid of Maya enough. They are not afraid of Maya enough. And Maya, Krishna's illusory energy, has this amazing ability to present herself as very attractive in various forms. In various forms. And when you see something attractive, you don't think it's dangerous. you think it's something to enjoy, something harmless, opposite of dangerous. But this is the trick of Maya. Maya presents herself as very attractive and then just destroys you. Destroys you. So therefore, there is this saying, thank you, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So we have so much experience of this. And we spoke about this, exercising integrity in the moment of choice. What does that mean, exercising integrity in the moment of choice? So, demonstrating integrity, demonstrating sincerity in the moment of choice. So, when something is pleasurable, usually every condition so thinks, let me take it. Usually it's one of the 5 sense objects. So we have Shabda, sound, sense objects, Rupa, form, Gandha, smell, Rasa, taste, and Sparsha, touch. 5 sense objects. Sparsha, touch. So when you see something, the mind says, oh, and the mind says, oh, let us enjoy this. The mind and the senses are enthusiastic. But one who has graduated in the school of hard knocks, he asks, shall I do it or not? So everyone, all of you have this so much experience that you are put in front of the choice practically every single day. And you know that Krishna is watching you. And you can show Krishna whether you are serious or not. For example, there is food, and you take one piece. Like yesterday, there was samosas, and you may think, I take one, it's so wonderful, it melts. So you take one, you say, well, this is not every day. Let me take another one. Then you say, well, there is so much left, nobody's taking more, and I feel sorry for these samosas. So I think I should check another one. So that's already 3. And you look down, and something is growing. And you're thinking, well, I may die tomorrow, and I may regret that I have not taken 4 instead of 3, or 3 instead of 2. And then I can't remember what else was there. There is maybe some sweet also. There is sweet, so but there is no space for sweet now because you filled everything with samosas. So you know that you shouldn't take so much. Maybe you can take for later, but not now because you cannot digest. Especially if you are older. Okay, if you're younger, maybe you are running around and spend everything. So this is just one example how Krishna is testing us. How, like, if you ask yourself, what would a wise person do in this situation? He would not just jump on 4 samosas and eat them up. He might look at them and say, well, instead of eating them, I can have darshan. I can just watch them. And I can say, you're okay there. I don't have to eat you. And the samosa says, are you sure? I mean, you know that I appear very rarely here, especially in this irresistible form, this super tasty preparation. And you say, you're right, but you know, I want to be a little philosophical, and I understand that, you know, we shouldn't eat too much. So I have written, as you know, the whole book about excuses. And so what are our excuses? I need energy for service, isn't it? Because I'm going to do so much service for the rest of the day, after lunch or after breakfast. So, you know, this is a great source of energy, and plus it's tasty. So I think I should do it as a seva. So it's amazing how the mind works, and how the mind tells us to do something we know we shouldn't do. So then you can eat it, and then if your digestion is not strong, then you feel like stuck for the next 5 hours trying to digest it. And you cannot think, you cannot focus on your service. Then maybe you start to get some ideas about regulated sense gratification, like grihastha life. And then you think, maybe I should get married, and maybe I should get married to a wife who cooks very well. Maybe she can learn to cook such samosas. Then I can have them every day and get energy for service. Now here, opposite to this mentality is the word tapa. And I was giving this example. If you go to take a shower, you have 2 pipes, red and blue. So what do you choose? Well, cold is not pleasant. But they say, if you do cold, then the circulation is better. You heard that? So you say, well, maybe I should mix it. Or somebody told me somebody told me, you can take a warm shower, but then, after this you take a refreshing cold, or maybe not so cold, but refreshing. And this is also a little bit of tapasya at the end, to splash with some cold water. And then you can choose only blue, only cold, and experience some unpleasant, for a few minutes, some unpleasant sensation on your skin. But after this you feel like a man. You feel, oh, this is good for me, little tapasya, it's not so much. And I know circulation will be better and it's healthier to do this. And I have done little austerity, physical austerity. So we always have this choice, either we do tapasya or sense gratification. And so now, how do you do this? How do you control your senses, or do what you know you should do? Well, it depends how you think. Because if you think, I need energy for service, you will always have a reason to take more than you need. And in this way, indulge. Do you know the word indulge in German? Indulge? Surrender? Like indulge in something. Be lenient with yourself. Lenient. Lenient. It's opposite of strict. Opposite of strict. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nachsichtig mit einem selbst.
Mm. How many of you have gone to the army?
I tried, but I didn't.
Yeah, me too. They kicked me out. They said that I'm on the border of being crazy. They didn't say I'm completely crazy, but just on the border. So, of course, but in military you get some training to be like a man, to fight. So now we will not do austerity if we are not convinced it's beneficial, isn't it? If we are convinced something is beneficial, then we can do it. And if you want something, you don't mind austerity. If you want to reach some sense object, like Bilva Mangala Thakur, he went through so many things. Raging river, then he caught a snake, he jumped over one wall and went in this stormy weather just to get to Chintamani. But fortunately, Chintamani, she got conscious, so she preached to him. She preached to him. But he took so much risk. He risked his life and so much austerity. So when you desire something, who can stop you? Maybe you'll do anything to get what you want. And then when you have to practice spiritual life and do some austerity, then you're thinking, is it worth it? But when self-gratification is in question, you don't think, is it worth it? You just go for it. And you are ready to pay any price. You're ready, anything, any price. So Bilva Mangala Thakur wanted to have Chintamani that night. And Krishna was so kind that he said, are you crazy? She said, you're risking your life just to enjoy this stinking body. And he came to his senses, he understood. So sometimes Krishna is preaching to you through the person that you are attached to. Like Maharaj Chitraketu also, Krishna preached to him through his son. And he could only hear from his son, to whom he was very much attached. So sometimes the very person that you are attached to and that is your sense object will speak to you and you can hear. Fortunately, both of them, Chitraketu and Bilvamangala Thakur, they were able to hear. Sometimes they're not even able to hear. So one quality of Prachetas is that they were able to hear instructions, to be convinced that they are beneficial, and to follow. So hear instructions, become convinced that they are beneficial, and then follow. And get the fruit, get the result. So when we read, then we can think, okay, what is it that I want to follow? So in Kali Yuga, people are not inclined towards discipline, but anyway, everybody is forced to work, which is kind of discipline. You have to work. Some people try to avoid work in different ways. Some people are teaching us how to make money without work. Passive income. Although there is some work there, but mainly just make money and enjoy life. You don't have to work. That's ideal. Making money by hard work, that's old-fashioned. Anybody can do this. This is like from the 19th century, or now it's 21st century, the 20th century. Making money by hard work. This is not something cool. Cool is that you make money without work. Even devotees like this idea. Then they say, well, if I would have money to not work, to not make money to maintain himself, then I would really read and chant. And then when they get social aid or something and they have money, then they take drugs and watch TV or YouTube. When you have money, you think, oh, then I can really serve Krishna. I don't have to worry about maintenance. But then you misuse your time. You have free time, you don't have to work. So sometimes I ask devotees, if you would have unlimited time or money, what would you do? And one devotee said, I would do nothing, because I don't have to work. I would have a limited money, so I would have to work. Some devotees say I would, organize book distribution or prasadam distribution, or I would build temples. But he said I would do nothing because I would not have to work. But actually, there is no something for nothing. That's a myth. It's a myth. That's a mirage in the desert. There is no something for nothing. Everything you want to get, you have to pay the price. Every enjoyment you want to have, you have to pay the price, either now or later. That is the law of nature. So if you say, let me avoid surrender, let me avoid tapasya, let me avoid service, you're just delaying something that you anyway have to do at some point, if you want to make progress. Let's say you enter the bathroom and it's not clean. And then you think, why should I clean it? It's not my job. Or see, so you get out and you think, oh, I have a void to get tired by cleaning the bathroom. That's very smart. Or you may be at a festival where there was fast, half day or whole day, and then you're sitting waiting for prasadam, and you think, oh, I'm so lucky, I don't serve prasadam now. And some devotees are serving. So you don't know who is lucky. You don't know that those who are serving are more lucky. And even when they finish serving, they try to take prasadam. It's more tasty than those who are just sitting and taking and waiting. One devotee from Salem in India, this Bhaktivikar Swami's disciples, he said, he's from Croatia, he said in one class, we are all great devotees when we are waiting for prasadam in a line. But after this, when you have to wash pots, everybody disappears. So you know, you're waiting and talking about something, about maybe new car that you have. You have sunglasses, you have silk dhoti, you are a first class devotee, first class looks, you have money. And then in some temples they ask, who are the volunteers to clean the temple room? Like in Soho, in London, who are the volunteers to wash the pots after the Sunday feast? And things like this. And then some always raise their hand, but you may think, I'm lucky if I don't do it. But is this Krishna conscious? I'm lucky if I avoid this service. Oh my God, they didn't push me now to wash pots. But who is actually lucky? One who washes pots or not? So you see, this everything in the material world is this upside down in Krishna consciousness. If you do something for some devotee, he says, oh, thank you so much. And you say, no, thank you for allowing me to serve you. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Once I had a session with one devotee in Italy, and she started talking about her project. She wanted to do something amazing. And I said, you know what? I have to pay you for this session. I was a coach. I said, I have to pay you. Is that okay? No, sir, no, I have to pay you. And so I convinced her at the end to accept. So this was my first client whom I paid to coach them. Because I got so much value. I got so much value. And when we are serving others, we should be grateful to them because they are accepting our service. So you may say, are you crazy? What kind of thinking is this? So people in the material world think they will be benefited if they avoid work. But devotee thinks he will be benefited if he does work. Because he knows he's working for Krishna. He knows this is devotional service. So these are some things to think about. And thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
In the first, it was stated that one should take the order of the father and the spiritual master. But what if the father is, for example, not a devotee, but also not a demon? Like he wants you to go to work or to study, like for your benefit. So what do you have to do? So you, in one sense, you don't want to listen to him, so you wouldn't go, like, join the temple or something like this. So what should one do?
This refers to a father who is Krishna conscious. It doesn't refer to any father. But if father is asking you for some basic responsibility, that's okay. And if, of course, the father should ask you to do something, even if it's material duty. But if you are surrendering to devotional service, then there is this famous verse from the 11th canto, which is quoted already very early in the Bhagavad Gita. I think it's quoted even in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita in the purport. Devarishi bhutaptan nrinam pitrinam nakinkara nayam rini charajan sarvatmana yak sharanam sharanyam. Gato mukundam parikritya kartam. This verse says that you have no obligation to family if you surrender completely. But if you surrender completely. So it depends on the situation what you need to follow from your parents. But I remember when I was 24 maybe, or 23 years old, my father approached me and he said, you avoided army, you are not working, your studies don't go well, what do you want to do? What will you do? You have to do something. And I said, okay. And I left home and went to the Hare Krishna temple. And joined the temple. Yeah. And then, after many years, he came to me and he apologized. He said, oh, I pushed you so much when you were very young. Actually, he didn't push me so much, but only at that point, he felt it's his duty to ask me to do something. Because I was just like playing sports or playing music and trying to fall in love with somebody. So he felt it's his duty, and I was so grateful to this because this pushed me to actually leave home and go to try to be a monk or something like, or Hare Krishna member. So it is the duty of a father to, and you know, father is concerned about your future. Like in Chaupati, you cannot join the temple as a brahmachari if you don't have a diploma. You must have, because they want to ensure that if you want to become a grihastha, you have a diploma so you can get, more easily you can get a job. So even in that temple, even spiritual master requests disciples to study and to have something in their hands. So it's not necessarily bad, but it's good to choose something which is connected to Krishna consciousness to study, you know, something that you can use also in devotional service. And I just couldn't read these books. What to speak of memorizing? I'm sorry, but I couldn't read these books. I was studying English, and there is English literature. Then we had Marxism at that time. That was in 80s or 70s. Marxism, sociology. I wanted to learn English. Then I have to have exam in sociology. No way. Then we had a Serbo-Croat language also. I had to pass. I didn't want to learn Serbo-Croat language. There was some other subjects I forgot. And I said, I'm not going to do this. Unfortunately, Prabhupada's books came. Then I left home. I couldn't choose anything. English, I just want to learn English, but I didn't want to study these other subjects. So I couldn't read, what to speak of memorizing and passing the exam. And then my mother was scratching her head. How can you sit for hours and translate these books? You couldn't sit for half an hour to learn for your university. I said, you know why? Because it's interesting. I like it. She said, oh, okay, good. Good, these people are training you. So duty, we need to understand what is our real duty. It's not this duty, material duties. If it is said that all these material duties, even within Varnashram, if they are not directed, samsiddhir haritoshanam, to satisfying Vishnu, they are just waste of time. So everything should be directed towards satisfying Vishnu. Okay? One more?
We were talking about these irresistible samosas, and if you are used to always give in to these excuses, always, not resist, how to get the strength to resist?
Speak about it. Oblige yourself. Oblige yourself. If I say something in the class and then I don't follow it, I will feel really bad, and devotees will see that I am a hypocrite. And another thing which we spoke about is success partnership. You report to your success partner, how are you following your goals? How are you working on your goals? And I'm doing it now. After 38 years in Krishna consciousness, I finally starting to work on my self-discipline more seriously. So I'm reporting to my success partners. I have more than one about different goals. And then when the mind tells me, oh, relax, or this and that, then I know I will have to report failure, and I feel very bad about it. So this helps to push me. So it's easy to avoid success partnership and just have a talk. How are you, Haribol? Oh, it's good. How are you doing? I'm doing well. You? Me too. So everything is perfect. No, I'm in Maya like anything. So let's do success partnership. Oh no, I can't do that. I don't like coaching. This is karmi stuff, you know, and why do we need this? We just need to chant inattentively and with offenses, and we will become pure devotees. So yesterday we were working for several months with one devotee, and then yesterday this devotee said, finally I'm starting to be self-disciplined, and I feel so good. I feel so good. So everything requires practice. Practice. I showed you, I was falling on the floor. I will show you the greatest secret of success is daily practice. Daily practice. But you can also, if you speak about it, if you make a public statement, we should do this. And then devotees come and say, but you are not doing it. So if you make a public statement, you oblige yourself to follow something that you want to follow. And if you have a success partner and you take prasadam together, then you see, so why did you take so much? And then you say, but you also took too much. So let us give to bhaktas who are always hungry extra, who are spending on physical activity. Let's give some extra samosas. So I was in Radhadesh. Okay, let me now do a little bit of glorification. I was in Radhadesh, I was in Brussels, I was in Golokadam, and when I came here yesterday, did I come here yesterday? So prasadam was so amazing, and somebody asked me, do you miss ISKCON KOELN prasadam? I said, yes! So we can appreciate, but you see, it's amazing. You can be satisfied with the same prasadam, but just take less quantity. So it's a little bit shorter enjoyment. Instead of 2 minutes, you have 1 minute. So, and the experience is the same, it's just a little shorter. But you are true to your values. You are true to your values. Okay, not 2, 1. And it can be fun to work on this. It can be fun with your success partner. Okay, let us. One devotee told me yesterday, I will report to you every day only if you chastise me. How can I chastise? I cannot chastise anybody. I can only make jokes. Yeah?
What the meaning of the word chastise? Also bestrafen.
Bestrafen? Yeah. So it's so exciting. So don't avoid success partnership. If you start it, don't avoid success partnership, because it will benefit you so much. Because the mind wants to avoid success partnership. The mind wants to, have some space to relax or space out. But find pleasure in little bit of austerity, not too much austerity. And how can you do this? You say, mighty Lord, I know you're watching me. I'm doing this for you. You see, I'm just looking at the samosa, I'm not eating it. And he says, yeah, you are hero. Little by little, you can do more sacrifices. You can go to Muslim countries to preach. And risk your life. Oh my God, 10 to 9. I have to go to the Flixbus. So thank you. We will stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So nice. From eating samosa to Arabic countries. Let's go to Arabic countries. Like Dubai.
We have enough.
This is
Huh?
We have enough teachers and we have Arabic teachers.
So, das läuft immer noch.